A huge Raw surprise for next week. WWE Ecstatic over Raw's opening promo, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. If I'm honest, I don't really know how to say it, so I've written and prepared a heartfelt, sincere speech prepared by my PR team. Given that the gossip industry cannot resist an opportunity to speculate and invent, we wanted to convey the truth directly. After 20 long, difficult years together, John Cena and I will be consciously uncoupling and... Oh God, John Cena's broken up with me! And everyone! He did it with everyone else, especially this kid, but mostly me. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
The biggest storyline in wrestling right now might be John Cena breaking up with several million people, but there is one local hero out there who will hopefully still answer the babyface call. In the painfully long build to his World Heavyweight Championship match against Gunther at WrestleMania 41, Jey Uso squashed Austin Theory, but not before squashing his own head on last night's episode of Raw. He's now beaten Theory and his tag team partner Grayson Waller in back-to-back episodes. But there's still like 5 weeks to go till Mania, so WWE are bleeding this stone for all it's worth. On next Monday's episode, Jey Uso will take on both men in a tag team match. But Jey will need himself a tag team partner, who's currently listed as multi-time WWE Champion vacant. Of course he has his brother Jimmy over on SmackDown. His best mate Sami Zayn could make a far too soon return from injury. Or, with it being the Raw episode filmed in Glasgow, Scotland, Jey could say his name and he appears. Because we believe in Joe Hendry. Okay, thank you. He didn't appear. He didn't appear that time. It's like the Candyman. Candyman. Nah, I can't do it. Genuinely too scared. There's a mirror on the wall over there. Hendry hails from Scotland and has already been featured on WWE's main roster this year, showing up in the Royal Rumble to one of the loudest pops of the night, thanks to the promotion's working relationship with TNA. And following the announcement of Jey needing a mystery partner for Raw next week, the TNA World Champion tweeted, "Say his name and he appears. Clap emoji, clap emoji." Obligatory Joe Hendry smiling photo, to which Grayson Waller replied with a GIF. Yeah, I say GIF. Dies from cringe. So about that John Cena breaking up with us all, here's my review of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. Bringing the Brussels loyalty and respect. That was Laurie's joke. He texted me at 8 p.m. last night just to give appropriate credit. The first ever live broadcast Raw from Belgium opened with the first ever TV appearance of the newly heel John Cena. WWE produced this perfectly. We got all the usual opening stuff to Raw. Here's a person arriving, here's another person arriving, here's the commentary desk this week made up of Michael Cole and Corey Graves, because I assume Pat McAfee voted leave. And here's a recap promo of Cody Rhodes from last week, where he vowed to beat Cena at WrestleMania. Then, there were several beats of nothing. No ring announcing, no music, just that kind of eerie, expectant buzz from the crowd you get just before they know something huge is about to happen. And then Cena's music hit. The same music as when he was a face, and the Belgians erupted with nuclear heat. Because here was the man who would never turn heel again. But in his retirement year, he sold his soul to the final Dwayne. And now, he was going to explain why. I should probably do that again for John Cena's character. Why? He stood there for minutes, gloriously soaking in the deafening "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chants. While he was wearing the same terrible baseball cap and jorts attire, his whole demeanor had changed. The babyface energy was gone, his boxy run down to the ring gone, his giant smile gone. Underneath his new permanently etched Judge Dredd-style frown, I bet he was having the time of his life. I thought for a moment he might not say anything. They'd do at least one fake-out segment where he'd just soak in the booze and walk off without explaining his actions. But he finally spoke into the mic and revealed what led him to where he is today. Us. He realized for the last 15 years he's been the victim of an abusive relationship, and that relationship was with all of us fans. He isn't a babyface or a heel, he's a human being. and every single one of us, even the ones who cheered him, especially you, specifically you dumb kid, has taken from him. That's all we ever did. We took. And now he's turned heel. We don't get to take anymore. We don't even get to take the new heel music, the new heel ring gear that he had made back in 2012 when he was going to turn heel against The Rock. Can I get a cheap pop in the comments for patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you can watch me and Luke review Cena's years-long feud with The Rock over there? No, he's going to have the same music and the same stupid jorts he's had the last 2 decades, because he's not going to give us anything anymore. And this, for me, was the masterstroke of the segment. There is a very real danger that because we've wanted Cena to turn heel for so long, him turning heel might counterintuitively make us cheer him. We're wrestling fans, we're dumb, we don't really know what we want. If Cena came out with a new presentation, dark new music, a suit, we'd likely end up cheering or appreciating it, which is exactly what WWE don't want. The ultimate aim here is to build Cody even stronger as a babyface, and splitting the crowd will hurt that in the long run. I fully expected a new presentation for Cena. I guess I didn't realize that I really wanted a new presentation until Cena turned it around on me. And the son of a bitch made me annoyed at his character that he didn't do it. And he's instead stuck with his jorts look that's been lame since the day he put them on. The crowd played their part perfectly too, chanting "F you, Cena," "Shut the F up," and "Cena's a effing bitch." The F stands for Flemish. So loudly they often drowned him out. And then, after 20 minutes, Cody came down, said he wants to fight the real John at WrestleMania, not this whiny bitch, and walked out. Despite this going a full half hour, they left a lot in the tank for later on. Cena didn't bring up The Rock or Grammy Award-winning musical artist Travis Scott once. I presume we'll get a promo about their faction's shared goal eventually. He didn't bring up the 17th world title. He didn't bring up the Elimination Chamber angle. And neither man got physical. They'll go face-to-face again on next week's Raw. Fightful selectors reported that WWE were ecstatic with the reception Cena got from the crowd, with one source telling them it was the hottest TV environment they've experienced, which strengthens the chances WWE will choose to go back to Belgium in the future. Penta beat Ludwig Kaiser in a no-holds-barred match for the first bit of in-ring action for the night. They had an intense fight which ended when Kaiser had a chair on Penta's throat, screaming at him to admit he's afraid. But of course, Penta has zero miedo. He came back with a Canadian Destroyer onto the chair and a Penta driver to win. And then we got our first hint at Penta's WrestleMania direction. Glasses variant Kathy Kelly interviewed him on the entranceway post-win, where he said he wants the Intercontinental title, creating a neat narrative spine for this episode, which would be main evented by an IC title match. Speaking of, the challenger in that match, Finn Balor, then arrived at the Judgment Day clubhouse backstage where, in Brussels, every centimetre is covered in cool graffiti. He was initially happy, but when Dominic Mysterio suggested Penta as their faction's new member, the same guy who just said he wants the championship belt Balor is going for later, Balor understandably stormed off, and Carlito said, "You should watch the show, dude." Dakota Kai beat Ivy Nile, kinda because Chad Gable was a distraction at ringside, getting chased off by the LWO for interfering. Bianca Belair and Io Sky signed the women's title match contract for WrestleMania, but Rhea Ripley interrupted, determined to make it a three-way. She headbutted Bianca onto the table, powerbombed Io onto her, and then signed her name on the contract too. I don't know if that's legally binding. Adam Pearce tried to explain contract law to her backstage afterwards, when the brawl started up again with Bianca and Io attacking her and then each other. I expect Io will demand Ripley to be added to the match, just how Rhea granted Sky the original title match because she had caused Io to lose. This is where Jey Uso beat Austin Theory in about 30 seconds, where, arguably more impressively, he managed to botch 2 moves himself. Gunther had an altercation both before and after the match with him, where Jey stood tall with the belt. This was the first time Gunther looked rattled, but this is unfortunately still an incredibly weak build for the World Heavyweight Championship and the winner of the Royal Rumble. Following the Ivy Nile match angle earlier, we got LWO beating American Made here. It was mostly to set up another masked luchador attack, who most definitely is not Chad Gable. With no Roman Reigns or CM Punk on this show, Seth Rollins was put in the impossible position of trying to fill in. The crowd enjoyed singing his annoying song for way too long, and then Seth promised them all to turn up on SmackDown to confront Punk and Reigns. The thing is, SmackDown is in Italy on Friday, not in Belgium right now. So the crowd just kind of went quiet, being reminded that they don't get to see that live. Rollins awkwardly tried to fire up the crowd again by getting them to sing his song and hyping them for the main event title match like he was a warm-up act rather than one of the company's top stars. This would have been far more effective as a backstage or pre-filmed promo where you don't have to take the audience reaction into account. Karrion Kross tried to manipulate AJ Styles in his Logan Paul feud again, and then it was time for the main event, where of course Finn Balor is going to lose via Dick Blast on St. Patrick's Day. Carlito distracted the referee for the finish while Dom pushed Braun off the top rope, but in so doing, Balor slipped and crutched himself on the turnbuckle. Breakker hit a Frankensteiner and a spear to win, in a shock example of a title actually being retained on TV at the moment. WWE did a very effective job of building multiple stories for Mania here. Finn is even more annoyed with Dom. Penta ran down for the post-match save, getting a stare down between him and Breakker, and most importantly, Dominic briefly holding the IC title in a shot-for-shot replica down to the haircut and Latino Heat shirt of his real-life dad, Eddie Guerrero, doing the same. With reports about a potential 6-way IC title match for Mania, I'm fantasy booking Braun versus Penta versus AJ versus Logan versus Finn versus Dominic, with Dirty Dom winning. I genuinely think he'd be a great heel champion. Give me chaos! This week's Raw is 85%. But move aside, Paul Levesque, because Luke and I can book WWE way better. The first episode of Monday Night War of me versus Luke in WWE 2K25's My GM mode is live. Click the video on screen to watch it now.